You feel it, don't you, that silent tremor beneath your skin when the world's anguish presses against your chest like a weight no one else notices. You carry the cries of strangers as though they were your own, the fractured whispers of the broken echoing in the hollows of your bones. There is a hidden fracture within you, an unseen fissure that no light has yet touched, a wound born from an ancient pact you never signed but inherited nonetheless. You, the empath, have been entrusted with a power that can consume you if left untended, a power that can unravel the fragile threads of your soul while you remain unaware. This is no mere sensitivity, no casual kindness bestowed lightly by fate. It is a force that pierces through the veils of illusion, that makes you bleed from invisible wounds inflicted by the sorrows and shadows of others. And yet this gift, your exquisite, devastating gift, is a double-edged sword. It draws you into the lives of others with magnetic intensity, but in its depths lies a peril, a creeping erosion of your boundaries, a stealthy betrayal from within. You are both healer and victim, light and shadow, intertwined in an eternal dance. The more you reach outward to catch the falling pieces of the world, the more you risk losing yourself to the abyss beneath. Have you ever wondered why your compassion sometimes feels like a trap? Why the weight of feeling too much turns your body to glass, your heart to fragile crystal? Jung whispered of the shadow lurking beneath the surface of consciousness, an uncharted realm where the unspeakable dwells, where the self dissolves into the other, and boundaries blur like smoke in the wind. This shadow does not announce itself. It does not wear a mask you can easily recognize. Instead, it creeps quietly, a thief in the night, stealing your vitality, leaving you hollowed and weary. You have become the silent bearer of others' pain, their hidden wounds seeping into your veins like poison. And in that silent sacrifice, your own soul's fire flickers, threatened by the very light you strive to shine. This is the empath's paradox, the luminous gift that can be the deepest wound, the power that threatens to betray its bearer. Can you hear the ancient voice within you, the one that trembles between hope and despair, calling you to awaken, to look beyond the surface of your compassion and peer into the shadow that waits patiently for you to acknowledge its presence? The path ahead is treacherous. The journey through your own inner landscape demands courage few can summon. But you are not lost, not yet. You are awakening. And this moment is the threshold where your story unfolds, where the threads of light and shadow weave into a tapestry of transformation. Will you dare to follow the call, to face what lies hidden beneath your empathy? Or will you continue to give until there is nothing left, until your spirit is but a faint echo of the boundless ocean of feeling you carry? As Jung once said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Listen now, for the darkness speaks in the language of silence and shadow, and within it lies the key to your becoming. Within you, ancient archetypes stir like dormant gods, awakened from a deep sleep, each bearing masks and talismans forged by the fires of time. You carry within the eternal polarity of light and shadow, the healer and the wounded, the empath and the narcissist, the eternal dance of opposites that shapes the unseen architecture of your psyche. You are more than a single story. You are the stage on which these forces enact their ritual dramas, a sacred battlefield where invisible wars rage beneath the surface of your conscious mind. The empath, that fragile vessel, bears the weight of the world's suffering, yet behind this gift lies a secret fracture. The healer archetype rises from your depths, a figure luminous and pure, who reaches out to mend the broken, to absorb the wounds of others as though they were your own flesh. This healer is sacred and noble, yet it is also tethered to the wounded child, the silent, forgotten shadow who learned long ago to shrink and vanish, who knows the taste of abandonment and the sting of invisibility. You are entwined with the narcissist, that shadow figure who casts a dark mirror to your empathy. Where you offer openness and surrender, the narcissist demands control and adoration. Their hunger is insatiable, a void that devours light itself. They may wear many faces, charm, grandiosity, subtle manipulation, but always they seek to consume your boundary, less compassion to draw you into their orbit where your essence is flattened and fragmented. This dance of light and shadow, empath and narcissist, is not merely external, but reverberates in your own psyche, where you struggle to discern where you end and the other begins. These archetypes are not your enemies. They are your ancient teachers. The shadow, as Jung unveiled, is the home of what you deny, reject, or repress. It is the dark well where your deepest wounds have gathered and crystallized. To know yourself, you must descend into this darkness, to confront the silhouette of the narcissist that lurks in your own mirror, to embrace the wounded child whose cries have been silenced by years of sacrifice. You are a confluence of light and shadow, and in that union lies the seed of wholeness. Feel the tension within, the pull between your yearning to heal and the hidden cost it exacts. Each time you reach outward, the wounded self recoils, fearing the engulfment that comes with endless giving. The narcissistic shadow beckons with seductive whispers. Become the savior, the indispensable one, lose yourself in their adoration. But surrendering to this will only deepen the void, for neither light nor shadow alone can birth the full human spirit. You carry the legacy of countless ancestors who walked this precarious path, torn between self-sacrifice and self-preservation. The archetypal cycles replay endlessly: the healer who forgets their own wounds, the wounded who refuses to be seen, the narcissist who hides behind a mask of invincibility. This triad lives within you, not as separate enemies, but as parts of a whole that longs for integration. The empath's inner wound is born in the silent loss of boundaries, where the self dissolves into the other, where empathy becomes a river that carries you away from your own shore. This wound is ancient, formed in the dark forests of childhood, where love was conditional, where your tender heart was the battleground of approval and rejection. The unconscious remembers what the conscious forgets: the price paid for love, when your own needs were buried beneath the weight of another's pain. You have lived this dance before, whether in dreams, in silent moments, or in the tangled webs of your waking life. The magnetism between light and shadow, pulling you into an ancient ritual, a cosmic ceremony played out in the secret chambers of your soul. It is the ritual of polarities, where the empath and the narcissist circle each other like mythic beasts, bound by fate and fire, drawn to clash and entwine in a dance as old as time itself. Feel the pull. The healer's yearning to mend fractures not their own, the wounded's fragile cry beneath layers of care, the narcissist's hunger shimmering like a black star at the ritual's center. This is no ordinary encounter. It is the collision of forces that shape the very architecture of your psyche, a sacred drama where roles shift and dissolve, where victimhood and saviorhood entwine like serpents, their coils tightening and loosening in endless cadence. You are both participant and witness in this rite, caught in the magnetic tension of giving and taking, losing and reclaiming. The empath's open heart becomes both shield and snare, a beacon drawing the fractured and broken, the ones who carry shadows heavier than their own. And the narcissist, ever the shadow's emissary, emerges not only in others, but sometimes from within your own depths, a shadow self that demands adoration, even as it consumes a phantom flame flickering dangerously close to your core. This ritual unfolds in cycles, invisible to the naked eye, yet carved into the rhythm of your existence. Like the moon's silent dance with the tides, these polarities move in eternal flux, drawing you into encounters that both reveal and conceal, heal and wound. You know this dance well, the intoxication of connection that leaves you breathless and bare, the subtle surrender that blurs the lines between where you end and the other begins. There is a myth hidden here, ancient and raw, the myth of the wounded healer, who must first confront their own darkness to truly mend another. The myth of the lover who loses themselves in the beloved's reflection, forgetting that to love wholly requires a self to return to. The myth of the shadow that masquerades as light, seducing with promises of wholeness even as it strips you bare. As Jung whispered through time, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. You have felt this alchemy, the subtle shifting that occurs when your empathic soul meets the hungry gaze of a narcissist, when your openness is met with demand, when your boundaries dissolve like mist under their relentless sun. But this is not a story of defeat alone. It is the sacred enactment of an archetypal truth that healing and wounding are intertwined threads in the tapestry of your becoming. That the dance itself, with all its pain and passion, is a rite of passage through which you are called to awake. Look closely at the ritual's choreography, the give and take, the ebb and flow, the moments where you shine and those where you fade. See the symbols etched in the tension, the serpent coiling and uncoiling, the phoenix burning and rising, the scales balancing light and shadow. These images are not mere fantasies. They are the language of your unconscious speaking through myth and metaphor. You may wonder if this dance is endless, a trap with no exit. But within the ritual lies the seed of transformation, a chance to recognize your own role, not as victim or martyr, but as the sovereign dancer who can step beyond the script. To break free, you must first see the choreography, feel the rhythm, and own your part in the eternal dance. This is the paradox. You live the craving to heal others while risking your own, fracturing the desire for connection, shadowed by the threat of engulfment. The empath and the narcissist are not simply foes. They are reflections, shadows cast by the same fire that burns within you. Will you look into the ritual's heart and see not just the pain, but the power? Will you allow the dance to teach you what cannot be learned in silence? That only by acknowledging both light and shadow can you begin to move with grace through the cycles that shape your soul. You have worn the mantle of the Savior so many times that its weight has become a second skin, one that chafes your true self beneath, suffocates your voice, and blinds you to the slow fading of your own light. The danger is not in your gift, but in your identification with it, when you become the healer so fully that the wound within you is forgotten, buried beneath endless acts of giving. This is the subtle betrayal. You may not see the erasure of yourself in the name of saving others, the quiet disappearance behind a mask of relentless compassion. Notice how your dreams begin to whisper warnings in shadowed tones, the recurring images of drowning in a sea of faces, of being lost in a crowd with no name, the silent screams muffled beneath layers of obligation. These nocturnal messengers call you back from the edge of surrender, reminding you that your boundaries are not negotiable illusions, but the very architecture of your soul's survival. There is a silent thief here, stealing not gold, but your vitality, your sense of self, your sacred yes to life. The more you say yes to others without hearing your own no, the more you drift into the dangerous waters of self-neglect. Your body may speak in fatigue, your mind clouded in confusion, your heart a quiet war zone where resentment and love clash unseen. These are not signs of weakness, but signals from the depths, cries of your soul demanding recognition. The archetypal light you embody can turn to a blinding glare, burning away the shadows without inviting them to dance in the fire's glow. When you identify solely as the healer, you risk becoming the very shadow you fear, the martyr bound to endless sacrifice, the victim trapped in a cycle of giving without return. The narcissist's mirror becomes a trap, not only outside, but within, reflecting your own refusal to embrace the darkness that aches beneath your kindness. This over-identification fragments you. The parts of yourself that feel pain, anger, and fear are pushed into exile, rendered invisible even to you. You become a ghost in your own life, haunted by the hollow echo of a self erased in the name of others' salvation. The paradox deepens. Your empathy, meant to connect, becomes the prison bars that hold you captive. As Jung cautioned, beware of the person who cannot tolerate the darkness in themselves, for they will find it intolerable in others. Your refusal to acknowledge your shadow fuels the very dynamics that drain you. The dreams, the fatigue, the subtle collapse of your boundaries are not random. They are the psyche's desperate summons to reintegrate what you have split off. Look deeply now. The Savior is also a seeker, a being who must learn the sacred art of saying no, without guilt, of holding limits with fierce tenderness. The wounds you hide beneath your healer's hands long for recognition, not dismissal. They are the gateways to a fuller self, a self that embraces the full spectrum of light and dark, strength and vulnerability, giving and receiving. Have you noticed how life's events conspire to force this reckoning? The sudden betrayals, the exhaustion that no rest can soothe, the relationships that mirror back your own loss of self. These are not punishments, but invitations, harsh perhaps, but necessary to wake from the dream of endless giving and meet the truth of your soul's hunger for wholeness. In this place of tension, The true transformation begins not through sacrifice, but through sovereignty. The danger lies not in your power, but in forgetting that power must be held with conscious hands, that boundaries are the sacred line where love and self-preservation meet. Without this awareness, the empath risks becoming a ghost of themselves, a flicker lost in the vast sea of others' pain. Will you listen to the quiet collapse beneath your feet? Will you hear the warning murmurs in your dreams and life's subtle urgencies? These are not signs of failure, but sacred signals guiding you back to yourself, to a place where empathy does not devour, but nourishes, where light does not blind, but illuminates the path through shadow. You stand now before a doorway carved from your own shadows, and light its threshold, shimmering with the promise of transformation. It is not a door built of sacrifice or surrender, but one forged in the fire of awakening, a portal that invites you to step beyond the endless cycle of giving and losing, beyond the worn paths of victimhood and martyrdom. The key is not outside you. It has been buried deep within, hidden beneath the layers of empathy and pain, waiting for the moment you dare to seek it. Can you feel it? The pulse of something ancient stirring beneath your ribs, a quiet knowing that the power to change your story lies not in losing yourself to others, but in reclaiming the sovereignty of your own soul. This is the paradox whispered by every mythic hero who has walked the path before you. The realization that true healing flows from boundaries, from limits held with gentle but unyielding hands. The transformation begins when you stop running toward rescue and start listening to the fragile voices within, to the subtle signals your body and spirit send when you have crossed too far into another's realm. It begins in the sacred pause, where you learn to say no, not as rejection, but as an act of self-love, an assertion of your right to exist fully and freely. This pause is a rebellion against the ancient pact of sacrifice, a reclaiming of your sacred yes to yourself. Look deeply at your reflection and see beyond the healer's mask. See the whole you, the wounded child who longs for safety, the fierce warrior who demands respect, the sovereign being who refuses to be consumed. These parts are not enemies to be battled, but aspects to be embraced, integrated into a whole that no longer fractures beneath the weight of others' pain. The doorway is narrow for transformation, is not a wide road, but a path that requires courage and clarity. You must confront the shadow not as a foe, but as a mirror reflecting your deepest fears and unspoken desires. You must learn the sacred dance of holding space for both light and dark, within understanding that wholeness is born from this union, not from denial or escape. As Jung once revealed, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Yet this pain is the sculptor of your soul, shaping you into a being who can love without losing, who can give without dissolving, who can hold others' wounds without becoming wounded themselves. It is the fire that burns away the illusions of false selfhood and reveals the radiant core beneath. This transformation calls you to reclaim your story not as victim or martyr, but as the author of your own becoming. It asks you to listen to the quiet urgencies beneath the noise, to honor the limits that protect your essence, to cultivate the fierce tenderness that holds your boundaries sacred. This is the revolution of the empath's soul, the awakening from the dream of self-erasure into the reality of sovereign presence. Can you sense the shift beginning, the subtle loosening of the chains that bound you, the gentle unfolding of wings beneath the ashes of past sacrifice? This is your moment to step through the doorway, to walk the path where empathy is not a burden, but a bridge, where light and shadow dance as equal partners in the sacred ceremony of becoming. Will you answer the call to sovereignty, to wholeness, to liberation, or will you linger in the familiar shadows, afraid to claim the power that waits patiently beneath your wounds? The choice is yours. But know this, the doorway is open, and beyond it lies the possibility of a new story, one where you are not lost but found, not consumed but whole. You stand at the edge of a vast and ancient forest, where the trees whisper secrets older than time, where shadows stretch long beneath the fading light. This is the threshold of your becoming, the place where the scattered fragments of your soul gather like embers, ready to ignite into a flame that will no longer be hidden. Feel the weight of your own breath, the pulse of life beneath your skin, the sacred beat that tells you you are alive, whole, and fiercely yours. There is a power here, quiet but unyielding, that has waited patiently through all the storms of sacrifice and sorrow. It is the power of saying no, the sacred boundary that protects your essence like a fortress of light. You may have feared this, no mistaking it for rejection or selfishness, but it is in truth your truest gift to yourself, to others, to the world. To say no is to honor the sanctity of your being, to claim your space in the vast tapestry of existence without apology. Imagine a river flowing freely, wild and untamed, carving its path through stone and earth with gentle persistence. This river is you, your soul's currents moving toward the sea of wholeness. The river knows when to bend, when to rush, and when to rest, and so must you learn the rhythms of your own being. Boundaries are the riverbanks that hold your power in place, guiding your flow without damming your spirit. The ancient wounds you have carried, the endless giving that threatened to dissolve your edges, these are no longer chains, but stepping stones. Each scar is a map, each ache a teacher, each refusal a declaration of sovereignty. Your power is not born from conquest or domination, but from the deep well of self-awareness, the quiet strength that rises when you honor your limits and hold your own light without fear. Feel the sacredness of this moment, the reclaiming of your voice, the gathering of your scattered fragments, the awakening of your fierce tenderness. This is the essence of individuation, the journey Jung spoke of, where you step out of the shadows of others' demands and into the radiant clarity of your own presence. You are no longer a ghost adrift in others' pain, but a sovereign being, a flame that burns steady and true. The world may still call you to sacrifice, to lose yourself in the service of others, but you now carry the ancient wisdom to choose differently, to give from fullness, not emptiness, to hold space without surrendering your soul. This is the great paradox of your power, the ability to love deeply while fiercely guarding your own heart. See yourself as the guardian of your own sacred fire, tending it with reverence and care. Know that every no you utter is a yes to your wholeness, that every boundary you draw is a bridge to freedom. The dance of light and shadow continues, but you move with grace, now aware of the rhythm and your own sovereign steps. You have walked through darkness and emerged with the knowledge that true power is not found in endless giving, but in the sacred act of holding your own center. This is your awakening, the fierce, tender, unshakable truth of who you are. Will you carry this truth into the world, holding your boundaries like a shield and your heart like a flame? Will you honor the sacred yes and no that define your path? No longer lost, but fiercely, beautifully found. The fire within you burns eternal. It is the light that no shadow can consume, the song that no silence can still. You are whole, you are sovereign, you are free.